Our challenge when we bring data into the organization is making sure that we're spreading financial literacy through the organization, throughout the organization. We believe that finance is the language of business, and everybody needs to be conversational in the language of business, and that's finance. In this, there's a formula. The formula is pretty simple. We take the income statement that often has 200 lines, and we break it down into these 5 things. We need to know where the revenue is coming from. That's the dollars we're generating from the sale of our products and services. The directly variable cost is what it costs us to produce that $1 of revenue. Gross profit is what's left over after we've taken the direct cost away from revenue. And then OpEx are all the dollars we spend on the physical plant or the infrastructure to be able to deliver more and more gross profit. What's left over is net profit. So we must understand how the business generates revenue, how it generates gross profit, and more particularly gross margin. It has to manage its operating expense to leave to the bottom line. Revenue, to many, is what the company makes. That is a mistake that many in the organization make. Revenue is not what the organization makes. Net profit is what it makes after all of the expenses are paid, direct or fixed. So there's a game to this. What we want to do, this great game of business is set up to make sure that we grow gross profit at a much faster rate than OpEx. It's okay for OpEx to stair-step up, as long as we're generating more and more gross profit, or generating gross profit at a faster rate. So the game is, how do we get gross profit to grow at a faster rate relative to their operating expense? There's an equation I like called gross profit over OpEx. That's called productivity of the organization, but that's the game. So in order to play this game really, really well, everyone needs to know these 5 things. First, everyone in the organization needs to know how the business makes money. In the essence, businesses are simple. If we are a jewelry store, we make money by selling jewels. If we're a grocery store, we sell groceries. If we're an auto body shop, we sell repair service, parts, and paint. And so how does our business make money? Everyone needs to be clued in on how that is happening. Everyone needs to know the formula. The formula here, these 5 numbers, if we just knew these 5 numbers, we can start to work together inside the business to generate more and more of what we're looking for. Again, gross profit going up at a much faster rate than OpEx. Everyone needs to understand the game. The game that we're playing is right here. So what do I do wherever I'm at inside the organization to make sure that I'm a part of making gross profit go up, or I'm being deliberate about the operating expense we're spending to do that? We need to know where everyone in the organization needs to know where they have the most impact. Some folks aren't on the revenue producing side, they're more on the operating expense side. So are they efficient? Are they effective? On the revenue side, are our sales people out selling value for the clients, so the clients are able to spend more dollars for the products and services that are offering? And then making sure that all of the 5 numbers are somehow tied back to having that person have the biggest impact they can against that formula. And then if we've set it up so they understand how the business makes money, they know the formula on how it works, they understand the game and their biggest part in the game, then they need freedom to play the game. Freedom is saying, I have the authority and some of the autonomy to make sure that if I understand it, I can make the decisions, I can take the actions I need day in to day out to make sure that we're all working together for the greater good. So if we do if we understand that finance is the language of business, if we understand the formula, if we understand that this is the game, and we do these 5 things really well, then we've actually done a really nice job of spreading financial literacy throughout the organization.
And Mark, what would you say to, I'm a business owner and some of my team really doesn't understand operating expenses or gross profit or net profit or margin? What recommendations or what advice do you have for me?
Yeah, so data and numbers are very scary to some people. They learned very early on that maybe they weren't so good at math, and so they're scared of numbers and they're running from the numbers. There's nothing to be scared of here. What we're trying to do is really just kind of break it down, make it simple, and then walk people through what the relationships are between the numbers. And so, and not trying to get them to be fluent in the language, so if I'm going to go to Spain and I don't know the language, I should probably learn how to order order a beer and probably find the bathroom. So I don't need to be fluent in the whole Spanish language, but I do need to be at least conversational so I can navigate. So that's all we're trying to do here is get people at least conversational in the language of business, not trying to make them experts. Because typically the finance leader takes that role. Let them manage the 250 numbers in the income statement or the balance sheet. We don't need to do that. We just need to know this simple formula and equation. We need to know what the game is, and we need to be okay playing the game.
And what about if I have a sales team that's just knocking it out of the park, like really selling, but then they have no idea if the customers they're selling to are paying or if the sale is profitable? They just let the finance person deal with that or worry about that. Shouldn't everyone care?
Everyone needs to care because it's, if we're working for the greater good, because there's a relationship in the numbers, right? So we can't just have the selling price and be good or make the sale and not worry about did we make gross profit on that. And so, and we can't just say, hey, we're going to generate, we don't care so much about gross profit or what our break even is on the operating expense. We have to care about all of it because ultimately we need to be bottom line focused. And with this game where we're trying to all drive gross profit up at a much faster than OpEx, we start to get more and more net profit to the bottom line. And then we have the resources to spend more money on people, more money on plant infrastructure, whatever it is we need to generate more and more gross profit. We can pay people more and serve our customers better. And that's the virtuous circle.